Multiplying decimals with number chips. This is a fun digital lesson for the students. They can move these number chips around their screen. And the lesson starts with explaining to the students how to shift the decimal point. And you want to move the decimal points all the way to the right. And then when you get your answer, you're going to move them back to the left. And it shows how to do that on the next two slides. So here's an example of a decimal multiplication. You've got one decimal point. You have to move it all the way to the right. So that's one place. Then you're multiplying as if they're whole numbers. And when you get your answer, you're going to move that decimal point back to the left, one place. And here's an example of when you're going to move the decimal point two places. So one place in the first digit, one place in the second digit, which is two places. So when they get their answer, they're going to move the decimal point back two places to the left. Now students are going to do that starting on slide 5. So they start out with some easier problems. They get a little bit more difficult as they go. Every slide has every number the students need. So as these problems get more difficult and they get down to the end and the numbers aren't working, they know they've made an error somewhere and they've got to go back and check. So in that way, it's self-checking. So the first thing they want to do is type in how many places they're moving the decimal point to the right. So on this first digit, they're moving two places to the right. So they're going to type in a 2. The second factor here, they're moving one place to the right. And then they have a total of 3 places that they're moving that decimal point. So then they do the multiplication as if they were whole numbers. And they want to click and hold on the edge of the number that they want to move. And they can move it into place. And here they can see that they've used all 4 numbers. Now they also have a movable decimal point. So if we move that decimal point 3 places to the right, we're going to have to move it 3 places back to the left. 1, 2, 3, and here's where the decimal point would go in their answer. Now you also notice that every slide has a yellow heart with a letter in it. So on the very last slide, they're going to be solving a riddle by matching this letter to their answer. So the next slide, they're going to be doing the same thing. Make sure first that they type in how many places they're moving that decimal point to the right, and then the total places. And make sure they also move the decimal point in their answer. Now we have a 3-digit by 2-digit. That means we're going to have 2 rows of multiplication. And I want to make sure that second row, they start with a 0. So first, how many places they're moving the decimal point, how many places in the second row, and then how many places total. So each one of these gets a little bit more difficult as they go. And then when they get down to that final slide, they can see that each one of these circles has a number underneath. So they're going to be going back through the previous slides, finding the slide that has this answer, and then they're going to type in the letter that's in that yellow heart. And if they do it correctly, if they've done all of the problems correctly, it will solve the riddle. So that is multiplying decimals with number chips.